projects, billions of dollars, and most people moving to Bremerton have never even heard about any of these projects. This information is buried in Navy contracts, county planning documents, and environmental impact reports that nobody has time to read. But I did read them. Hi, I'm Cassandra. I've been living and working in Bremerton and Kitsap County for the past 26 years. What's coming to this area in the next 10 to 20 years matters a lot more than what the market did last quarter. So in this video, I'm covering 5 projects that are going to change the shape of this county, what that means for buyers and sellers and anyone else thinking about putting roots down here, and the single biggest Navy construction project in history that is happening right here in Bremerton, Washington. Project number 5 is the Highway 3 through Gorst overhaul. And if you've ever driven through Gorst, then you probably already know what I'm about to say. Where Highway 3 South and Highway 16 meet in Gorst is one of the most frustrating bottlenecks in the whole county. 2 lanes from Highway 3, 2 lanes from Charleston Boulevard, all merge into 1 lane for a quick minute, and then it's 2 lanes. So if you're stuck behind a garbage truck, or there's an accident, or there's a stalled car, and you're down to 1 lane, that can back up traffic 4 miles and 4 hours. Well, the state is finally going to do something about it. The Washington State DOT has received a grant of $82.5 million towards the design and rehabilitation of the complete overhaul of this entire location. The total cost of fixing the Gorst problem will probably exceed $500 million. Planning for this project wraps up in October 2026. NEPA reviews follow in 2027, and then construction funding gets pursued from there. But the planning money is committed, and the state has made this a priority under the Move Ahead Washington Transportation Package. And the alternatives right now that are being studied are significant. One option widens the highway with an additional lane in each direction. Another essentially elevates the roadway above the current Gorst commercial corridor with 3 lanes in either direction and local traffic underneath. Improvements are projected to reduce travel time from Port Orchard to Kitsap Way by 16% and from Naval Base Kitsap to Port Orchard by 14%. So why does this matter for real estate? South Kitsap property has, in general, been priced lower than properties in Bremerton or Central Kitsap or Poulsbo. And a big part of that is the commute and how hard it is to get through Gorst on a daily basis sometimes. But when Gorst gets fixed, all of that will change. The price gap between South Kitsap and Central Kitsap may compress quite a bit. The neighborhoods that have been discounted for years because of this commute start to close on that gap. If you're a homebuyer looking in South Kitsap right now, you are looking at it before that compression happens, so you may be in a very favorable position to earn some long-term appreciation on the other side. Now, if Gorst is about fixing what's holding Kitsap County back, Project 4 is about building what Silverdale has always had the potential to become. Silverdale is officially designated as a regional growth center, which makes it one of 27 such centers around the Greater Puget Sound Regional Council's planning framework. And notably, it is the only unincorporated regional growth center in that entire system. The updated Silverdale Regional Center plan, with revisions finalized in December of 2025, envisions a walkable, mixed-use urban area with trail-oriented development connecting the waterfront, medical facilities, shopping, and neighborhoods. And the zoning has already been changed to support that. Kitsap County more than tripled the overall designation for multifamily properties in the unincorporated areas as part of their 2024 comprehensive plan update. Building heights went up, lot minimums came down, parking requirements were reduced, encouraging walkability. The regulatory infrastructure for a denser, more urban Silverdale is already in place. The growth targets in the county's 20-year plan are significant. Silverdale is expected to absorb 11,000 new jobs and just under 10,000 new residents, just within the regional center boundary. Now, Silverdale already has about 21,000 residents as part of the most recent census survey. So we're talking about a plan that's going to increase the population by 50%. That means more density, it's going to be more economically active, and more connected to the rest of the county over the next 2 decades. For homebuyers, it's a simple question. Do you want to buy in Silverdale before all of this takes place? Right now, if you're buying into a suburban strip mall community with a clearly funded plan to become something more urban and more walkable, getting in early would only benefit you because of that shift. For sellers who own homes in or near these regional center plan areas, the zoning change itself creates creates opportunity. Land that was previously capped in terms of how it could be developed, how many units could be built on it, now has more development potential and options. Now we're about halfway through, and I wanted to pause for a quick second because if you're thinking of moving to Bremerton or anywhere in Kitsap County, the projects we have covered so far are already changing the calculation on which areas will make sense for most buyers. Where you land in this county will depend on a lot of factors like your commute, your school district, your lifestyle. And if you're not quite sure where to land, I created this really cool neighborhood quiz that you can do for free. The link is in the description. You can roll through a few questions. You can answer little things about what you're looking for, your timeline, your budget, that sort of thing. And it'll offer a few suggestions of neighborhoods and locations around the county that might work best for your lifestyle and your needs. So it's a pretty cool tool that I put together just for you. So go ahead and pop in the description and take the quiz and see where you might fit best. Project 3, Harrison Heights redevelopment. So while Silverdale is being rebuilt around a plan, Bremerton itself is staring at an 80-acre blank canvas right in the middle of the city. In 2024, Harrison Medical Center was demolished. All hospital services were relocated to the new St. Michael Medical Center in Silverdale, and that left an 80-acre gap in the fabric of East Bremerton. The city of Bremerton formally adopted the Harrison Heights sub-area plan as part of their comprehensive plan update in June of 2025. That plan is now official. Zoning is done and the design standards are now all in place. What the city has created is a framework for turning that 80 acres into a mixed-use district with a range of commercial uses, multifamily residences. This is not just a speculative proposal anymore. It has passed. The city made the regulatory investment to ensure developers have a clear path when they're ready to build. Now, here's what this means in practical terms. An 80-acre development in the middle of the city doesn't affect just that 80 acres. It's going to affect every block around it. That changes the long-term picture for properties in East Bremerton, even if the cranes aren't there yet. But what you won't see is that 80-acre site 2 blocks over that is now zoned for a mixed-use urban district backed by city resources. That kind of context is what changes whether a decision is smart for a long-term hold or not. The city's own CDBG consolidated plan, adopted in November of 2025, frames Harrison Heights as a strategic long-term revitalization effort for Bremerton. That's the city saying, officially, that's where they're putting their energy. The 3 projects we've covered so far are significant, but this next one speaks directly to what makes Kitsap County unlike any other real estate market in the Pacific Northwest, the Navy. Because the Navy just doesn't employ people here. It is the economic foundation of this area. And right now, Naval Base Kitsap is in the middle of a major transformation that is going to make it the most capable carrier home port on the West Coast. The USS John F. Kennedy is the Navy's first Gerald R. Ford class carrier assigned to the Pacific Fleet. It's the next generation of carriers designed to be more powerful, more capable, and more complex than the Nimitz class carriers. And it's coming to Kitsap. The Navy has confirmed a 2029 home port target at Naval Base Kitsap, Bremerton. To make this happen, the Navy is spending upwards of $300 million to modernize the base and the pier structure. And the first piece of that is already underway. A $145 million electrical overhaul is currently in progress at Naval Base Kitsap because the Ford-class carriers require significantly more electrical power than the Nimitz-class carriers do. The new substation construction is expected to begin the summer of 2026, which is like right about now. In June of 2026, the Chief of Naval Operations said publicly that the USS Abraham Lincoln would probably move to Kitsap at some unspecified time point in the future. The U.S. Navy needs to divide its Pacific carriers between San Diego and Naval Base Kitsap. If that happens, then Kitsap County goes from having 1 Ford-class carrier to potentially 2. This is speculative for now, but when the CNO says it out loud, it bears some weight. So what does this mean for local real estate? Every time a carrier changes home ports, it generates a new wave of PCS orders and moves. Sailors, officers, and their families would all be relocated here to Kitsap. And they need housing, and the wait list for base housing can be upwards of 18 months long. For anyone who has ever asked, is Bremerton safe for a long-term hold? The USS John F. Kennedy home porting here is one of the clearest answers I can give you. The Navy is building here. They are currently wiring for the next round of carriers, and the jobs are coming with it. And this leads us into the single most significant project on this list. Project 1, PSNS Multi-Mission Dry Dock Plus Columbia-class submarine expansion. I'm going to give you a number, and I want you to sit with it for just a second. $30 billion. That is the maximum contract value of the construction program currently being advanced Puget Sound Naval Shipyard right here in Bremerton. In June 2026, the Navy launched a dedicated procurement process for the rebuild of the Dry Dock 3 waterfront, centered on a brand new multi-mission dry dock, large enough to service both aircraft carriers and submarines. The initial contract window is 10 years, with a base period of 60 months, with up to 5 additional 12-month contract periods. To put that in perspective, this is being described as the largest single infrastructure modernization project in U.S. Navy history. Here's the timeline as it stands right now. The Navy released a draft environmental impact statement in July of 2025. The final EIS is expected later on this year in 2026. An industry day is planned for August of 2026, with Phase 1 proposals due in October, Phase 2 proposals due in January of 2027, and contract awards targeted for May of 2027. Construction is expected to begin in spring of 2028. This is part of the Pentagon's broader 20-year, $20 billion shipyard optimization program, which is upgrading all 4 of the nation's public shipyards. Bremerton is one of the 4, and the dry dock rebuild here is the centerpiece for that program. PSNS already employs over 14,000 people directly and is the largest employer across Kitsap County. Naval Base Kitsap as a whole supports over 63,000 jobs and $6.8 billion of economic impact across the state. The Navy is planning to homeport up to 8 Columbia-class submarines at Naval Base Kitsap Bangor. The Columbia-class is the largest submarine the U.S. Navy has ever built at about 20,000 tons. Construction on the new pier facilities is scheduled to start in July of 2027 and take approximately 5 years to complete. The first Columbia-class submarine is scheduled to arrive somewhere in the early 2030s. Dry Dock 4 at PSNS has just completed its seismic retrofit, 5 months ahead of schedule in April of 2026. This is the only place on the West Coast that you can do maintenance on aircraft carriers. The new dry dock maintains the capability here in the Pacific Northwest for the next 80 to 100 years. Think about what that means for the real estate market. If you are buying in Bremerton or anywhere in Kitsap County right now, you are buying into a market that has a committed, federally funded employment anchor for the next century. That's not a company that's going to relocate. That's not a headquarters that's going to downsize. A permanent physical infrastructure investment that requires a workforce, it generates jobs, and will draw people into this county for generations. I was stationed at Naval Base Kitsap when I was active duty back then, called Naval Base Bremerton on the USS Sacramento. I walked through that shipyard almost every day. I know what it means to this city. It's not just a data point, but one of the things that make Bremerton what Bremerton is, and definitely puts us on the map. For buyers, this means you're purchasing with a strong workforce under your feet that very few markets in this country can match. For home sellers, this is the single most important piece of information that we can put in front of a potential home buyer when they ask whether Bremerton's going to hold its value or not. The answer is yes. And now you know why. And that's why exactly understanding these projects is not just interesting background reading. It changes which neighborhoods you look at, which price points make sense, and how long you plan to hold. In a market where that gap could mean overpaying for a property or buying somewhere that doesn't fit your lifestyle, that can be a costly mistake. So if you are thinking about moving to Bremerton or Kitsap County and would like to talk through your situation with somebody who specializes in relocation home buyers and has spent the last 26 years living and working here in Bremerton and the broader Kitsap County areas, reach out. Call or text me, send me an email, or I invite you to schedule with my calendar directly in my Calendly link in the description below. I will help you figure out which neighborhood makes sense for your real life.